You have to be a guest on my show. Is this a baby? Hi guys! I'm so excited to talk to you guys about all things spooky. I have so many fun, scary, and spooky stories from my travels all around the world, including my haunted wedding night. And here is Monet, my sister's kitten. You are so cute, aren't you? He's the sweetest little thing ever, and I love just holding him like a baby because he's so cute. And now we're gonna let him run around. So the first thing that I really want to share is that last year I booked a hotel for Yusuf and my wedding night. It's a gorgeous old mansion that was owned by someone in Detroit like 200 years ago, and his beautiful art collection, his paintings, his ceramic pots, his immaculately decorated bedrooms were still there, and we rented one of those out. It was like a 2-story bedroom with a loft overlooking Detroit. Stunning. But it started off on a really spooky note. So when we checked into the lobby, Yusuf was like, hey, look, we have really chapped lips. So I have this CeraVe ointment, and it's like this round ointment. And he's like, we have this ointment that we can use for ourselves. I know this sounds so basic, but he was like, look, I'm putting it in my pocket. We'll take it out upstairs, okay? And he puts it in his pocket in the lobby where we're sitting down. Now we go upstairs. I run up the 3 flights of stairs, and I arrive there before him, and I open the door, and sitting in the middle of the room is his CeraVe ointment. It is sitting there, and Yusuf comes scuffling behind me, and he's like, hey honey, like, what's up? And I'm just stunned standing there, and I was like, check your pocket. And he rummages through his pocket, and he's like, what? And I was like, look, your CeraVe ointment is not there anymore. And lo and behold, it's on the floor, and we were shocked. Now, flash forward that night, we had leftovers from the cat's running away. We had leftovers from the wedding, and we had biryani, the Indian dish, if you guys don't know. And we were sitting upstairs on the loft eating the biryani, and Yusuf goes, I have to use the restroom. And he clambers downstairs into the restroom, and I'm eating my biryani. And biryani is like my first love. It is something I am obsessed with, obsessed. And there is no way that you could ever distract me from eating my biryani. And I'm sitting there eating, and Yusuf comes running downstairs and look over the balcony, and he's like, honey, did you call me? And I was like, no, why would I call you? I'm eating my biryani. There's nothing I would want when I'm eating biryani. And he's like, no, you said, Yusuf, come here. Yusuf, come here. You said it twice like that. And I was like, I was busy eating. Why in the world would I call your name? And so he was hearing things, and then like we knew that place was haunted 100%. And in the middle of the night, I woke up, and I was like, it was 2 a.m. and Yusuf was already asleep, and I was like, there is no way I want to be all alone in this immaculate place. Like, Yusuf, wake up, please don't leave me awake by myself, because this is such a haunted place. You could feel the darkness just closing in on you, and those like spooky paintings were super sexy, super amazing, but also like at the moment I was like, oh my god, I feel like the people in the paintings are gonna leap out and like join us. It was that spooky. So the spookiest thing that actually happened that night is that necklace you guys see that I'm wearing here, which is real gold, real emeralds, and real polka diamonds from India. Our wedding jewelry is priceless to us, and I would never, ever, ever mistreat it. And I kept it really, really nicely in a drawer, in its pouch, the night at the hotel. When I woke up in the morning, the entire backing that creates a U shape, the wires that make that shape, were strewn into pieces, and those emeralds were hanging loose, and the entire necklace was in its like manufacturing pieces. I can't even explain to you guys. It's so spooky. And the only thing that could explain that is not my negligence, because there was none, but actually a very pranking presence of a spirit, or whatever you guys want to call it. There is no other reason. So one time in India, I remember that we went to these 3 sisters that are cousins of my grandma, and they're like old ladies that actually look like witches. But you know, you give people a chance and you let them illustrate to you that looks so my cat's running away. So you give people a chance to say like looks don't determine your personality, and they shouldn't, but in this case they were definitely witches. So in the first house, it was like a shared property with 3 sisters, and they had a property dispute, and all 3 of them were living there with their whole like lineage in each house. So there are 3 houses with 3 different sisters and their kids and grandkids all living in a multi-generational haunted house, or 3 haunted houses. And in the first house, it was prayer time in the evening, and for the prayer time, like they came and gave us like prayer mats and said, go ahead and pray and join us in the living room. Honestly, there was no presence of God in those rooms. I felt like something was sitting on my chest, and I was like, Mom, we have to go. Like, we have to go. There's something haunted here. So soon we left to the second sister's house, and that same feeling pervaded my heart, like someone or something, some weight was sitting on my chest. So what happened was, one of the people that lived in the house, he started talking, and he said, hey, look, the first lady, she does black magic on us. And because of this property dispute, we all do black magic on each other. And I was like, oh, fuck no, we're leaving now. So we go to the third sister's house, and the same phenomenon is happening. This was like haunted houses galore. These people are fighting about like random shit, like, we want to own this sidewalk because it will get us so much money, and we're going to have this amazing life if you let us sell it, but we have to divide the property equally in 3 ways, but we can't do it equally because, you know, we're going to do Pakistan, Bangladesh, and India partition all over again, but in our family. And it was horrible, and you could feel it. And you know, in India, they still like sell like voodoo dolls, and like they have people doing black magic and sending spirits and jinns into each other's like houses, and like to do spells on each other. And whether or not that's true, the thing is that it produces bad energy and negative energy, and you know, I'm really sensitive to other people's auras, and definitely there was either black magic going on or there was really bad aura. So here's another fun story. It's not a scary story, but a spooky story, also perfect for October. Now, I was in Switzerland, and my friend and I, we went to a city called Monet, which, if you guys know, like celebrities love that city. It's really posh, beautiful, sculpted with a landscape of mountains, lakes, and flowers. Like, flowers there is what grass is to Michigan. Like that, like making sculptures out of flowers is a thing there. And so we were super excited. They had like an ancient castle in that area from the Savoy family, and we were so pumped to go there. And what ended up happening was we landed on the train station. We had come from Geneva, and we were trying to exit the train station, and we ended up in like it was like kind of like a, you know, like a parking lot. It has like the staircase, the dusty old staircase. So this was a dusty old staircase, kind of like that, leading us out of the train station into the city. So we're going down, and it's getting stinkier and stinkier. When we land on this staircase landing, we could smell like terrible shit, and we look out. We look down, and there's this man covered in his own shit, and the walls are papered with his shit, and he's like taking it and throwing the shit at the wall and screaming his head off. He most definitely lived in that area and accumulated months, if not a year, of his own excrement. And we panicked and we ran upstairs and we found another exit, but that kind of haunted the beginning of our Montreux trip. And I guess the flowers and the scenery and the nature have washed away those memories, but most definitely that kind of tainted our trip a bit. I have another Switzerland story. This time I did a break-in. I don't think I should tell this online, but I had a friend over for a sleepover and we wanted to take a shortcut. I was living in Geneva at that time and I wanted to take a shortcut to the train station, to the bus stop, instead of going the long way. So what we did was, I saw on Google Maps that a private property led through to the WHO, the World Health Organization. From there we could catch a bus. So we went there and we went on this private property, and it says no trespassing in big lettering, and I said fuck that. And we clambered through the property, and he had like sheds where he kept all of his like gardening tools, and like literally this is like a movie set. Okay, he has his gardening tools, he has his lawnmower, he has all of his things stored, and there's like a house, and there's like a small farm area, and there's a wall, and we tried to break through it and go through, and we couldn't find a single like chink in the armor to go through. And my friend was freaking the shit out. She's like, Manal, please, let's go back. We're breaking the law. This is Switzerland and we're breaking the law. And she was French and she was like not having it. She's like, please, we can't. And in Switzerland, in the area that I was living, was kind of on the border of France and Switzerland, and it was really, what is the word? It's like, it was really aloof from the rest of society, kind of in the farming area. I was just a mile away from the French border in the wilderness. I had an apartment and it was amazing. But the thing was, when night falls, bats in clouds and swarms descend on your head, and literally bats, you would graze against your head, and like you would get scratched by bats. I don't know how I didn't catch rabies, but I loved every second of being freaked out every single night, because I wouldn't come home until night fell, because I would go out, hang out with my friends, go around town and have like a blast. And literally when I would come home, I would have to walk through clouds of bats, and clouds of bats were descending on us and scratching us and brushing against us. And she had no experience at all with this. And she's like, please, let's go home. Please, let's take the normal civil route. We cannot break in on private property. It is not done. And so, because we couldn't like break the wall, I guess, to climb through to the WHO, I don't know why I came with WHO. Like, people have accents in Europe. I mean, it's just, hi, baby. He says meow. He says meow. He's so cute. Or my little best friend. Okay, yeah, that's the end of that story. I have a story from New York City as well, and this is like kind of scary. I have two actually. So I have three actually from New York City. So I was living in New York City last year for a couple of months for an internship, and it was so freaking fun. So anyways, in New York, one of the things that happened to me was that I was crossing the Brooklyn Bridge with my friends, and this guy had a huge python like this thick and coiled around him, and he literally was like, oh, please touch my python. Oh, touch my snake. Touch my snake. Oh, pretty please touch my snake. No, you go ahead. You touch her. You touch her. Please touch her. Please touch my snake. Oh, touch her. And he literally was getting like an erotic kick out of the idea that we would actually touch a snake, but there was no way in hell. We were trying to escape off the bridge, but he was just coming after us with a snake saying, please sister, touch my snake, touch her, touch her. Yeah. Another time in New York, I was going through the Chinatown area and there was a guy covered in his own blood rolling on the floor, and he had been like stabbed or something, and there was blood gushing everywhere. And the police came and he was unfortunately a homeless man, and the police, and so no one was giving him any attention, so the police came and rolled him over, and literally blood started oozing and flowing, and pus and other like bodily fluids, and it was just insane to see like a dying, stabbed man. But at that point, New York was so part of my blood and DNA that like seeing a guy in his own blood stabbed and almost at the point of death was like nonchalant to me. But it was like kind of scary. Speaking of something else that was scary, I was living in a neighborhood in Brooklyn, and it was like a really nice neighborhood. And the problem though was that one day I came back from work, and near my subway stop that I take from my house, one of the buildings was shattered because a fire had gone through and ravaged the building. There was nothing left in that building, no window, no item, nothing. And it was filled with ashes and smoke, and the entire area was covered, loitered with firemen and fire trucks and people like me. I immediately ran into the laundromat opposite the building to make sure that, did anyone die at this place? Was anyone harmed? And literally my heart was beating. I called Yusuf, my husband. I was like, Yusuf, I feel the shortness of our life, and I was scared for myself, for the people. And thank God the people at the laundromat told me no one got hurt, no one got injured. The firemen came just in time and things were okay. Baby, here baby, here baby, here baby, here baby, here baby, this is your baby. Shh. I have stories from Japan as well. I went to do a study abroad there, and one of my spooky and scary stories in Japan has nothing to do with ghosts, but to do with men, and men can be scarier than ghosts. I was in Dotonbori, and I was walking from that shopping district to my friends, and I was meeting them, and I had my T-Mobile phone, which gives me free GPS. So I was following the GPS, and I wanted to do a shortcut because I was running late, and I had like literally 100 shopping bags in my arms weighing me down because I love shopping. And I had these bags, and I'm walking, and my cat's back, my sister's cat's back, baby, and I'm walking through this area, and I realize slowly there's no women in the area, nothing at all, and there are stores that are sealed, and those stores are men, like creepy sort of men, like men with tattoos, kind of men that you don't see in Japan. That you don't, the kind of men that you do not see regularly in Japan. And it dawns on me, they're the Yakuza. And there's no women there at all. And I start running for my life because these men are looking at me like I'm a piece of meat. Surely. I thought the men were going to do this to me. And I am so freaked out, and I'm just trying to run towards my friends. And finally I make it out alive, despite so many men looking at me, and I'm being the sole woman in that area. And when I saw a woman, finally I ran up to her, and in Japanese I asked her, like, where am I? What is going on? Is this area okay? And she's like, yeah, you're fine. Here's where to go back to your hotel area. Here's how to meet your friends. Later in my Japanese like society class, I learned that area that I was in was actually the Yakuza stronghold in Osaka, and that the walled up or the closed up stores were actually, they opened up at nighttime, and they have prostitutes, women that have been kidnapped and abused by the Yakuza that they show off there. And literally the fact that I made it out there alive is insane. Like, the police do not police in those areas, and I would have been on my own. Like, literally that area was covered in graffiti. You do not see graffiti like that in normal areas of Japan like you do here in America, and especially here in a city like Detroit. You do not see things like that, and I literally, thank God, I made it out alive. Another situation in Japan where I made it out alive was when my friend and I, we had taken a train to Kyoto, and we came back very late at night, and the train station, everything else, like the streets were deserted. Like, Japan is like Europe, where everything closes out at 6 p.m. and you literally don't have a single person to ask questions to, especially being a foreigner in that city. And my friend and I were both foreigners. So we take our bikes from the station, and we have to bike back to our apartment, and my battery is at 2%, and I have the only GPS between the both of us. And it's so funny. I say we have to go left, so we have to go left. I'm really cranky. I'm being kind of a mean bitch to my friend. And I'm like, we have to get going. I have to get back home. I'm so sleepy. I'm so tired. I think I know the way. I have really good directional sense. And my directional sense leads me. And I'm biking with her on this path. And literally, I hear like the sound of water and like, you know, like little things chirping, and I like turn on like the remaining like battery. I use it to see, turn on the flashlight, and I look both sides of where we're biking, and it's like a road that's a bridge. It's very narrow. On either side is water. It's a lake, and we would have drowned because we could not see where we were going, because we literally barely had any light. We had the smallest light from our bikes. And we turned the hell back, and literally we would have drowned, and lots of people drown in lakes and rivers all the time. We literally came out with our lives. Thank God we made it back to our apartment. We ended up using the remaining battery on my phone, and that 1% that we had left at that time was enough to get us back home. Now, another haunted Japanese story. We went to a Shinto shrine in the middle of an island. So we took a boat there, and when we got there, we went up, and I usually have amazing experiences at shrines and at temples, and I love exploring, especially Buddhist temples and Shinto temples too. But here, it was so funny. I couldn't enter that temple. Like, I felt something sitting on, like something enveloping me the second I tried to put my foot in. I felt a presence. It's not even an ancient presence. It was like a haunted presence. Okay, this island is not inhabited. It's only used for worship purposes, and I could feel something strange and dark there. And I told my friends, do you guys feel something? They're like, yeah, we feel it. But I feel like my sight, or whatever you want to call it, for the unseen is really strong, and that presence was overwhelming, and I could feel something ominous and older than time. And I said, no, thank you. I'm going to stay here outside waiting for you girls, and meet me back outside. And literally, I think I can sense things sometimes, like very often. I can sense things from people, dark energy, negative energy, spooky things. I have had really, really spooky experiences, truly bone-chilling experiences that I do not want to talk about, that never ever want to repeat to anyone again, that I just cannot, and they're not as funny or entertaining as these stories. I have one story from Michigan. I went to a hospital, and I was volunteering there at Henry Ford Hospital, and I had been volunteering there for 4 years. And my badge only says my first name, Monet. Okay? And this woman, and she is like, she looks haunted. Her eyesight is not focused. She's walking a little bit like this, and she goes, you. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, I was like, do you need help? And she's like, you are a Nizam, aren't you? I know you are. I feel it. And I was like, oh. And I looked down, and I'm like, how do you know? She just walks away, and I never, ever, ever see her again. because my badge only said my first name, because I was a volunteer. We only get first name badges. And having that eerie experience scared the shit out of me. So that's all for my spooky October stories. I hope you guys enjoyed. Those are just some of the fun things that have happened to me. They're not really that scary, but they're just entertaining, and I thought we would have this entertaining, chatty time. And I hope you guys have a spooky, amazing October. And I'm gonna talk to you guys later again about my October book haul for some spooky reads. And I hope to see you guys soon. Take care.
Two-face killer, go gorilla for the bag. That boy be a pussy, kill the vibe, he a drag.